Music 10 Third Quarter Week 1. Traditional and Contemporary Philippine Music. Malks narrates the life of selected contemporary Filipino composers, analyzes the musical characteristics of traditional and contemporary Philippine music. Improvises simple vocal/instrumental accompaniments to selected contemporary Philippine music. The lesson on 20th-century Filipino composers may be integrated with Philippine history for a better understanding of the musical styles and their sources of influence. An appreciation of our nationalist composers as major exponents of our cultural heritage. Filipino composers of the 20th century contributed their share in introducing innovative sounds different from the traditional folk song and kundiman melodies that we have accustomed to. Some espoused the impressionistic style, while others combined ethnic sounds and musical elements with Western techniques in their compositions. Francisco Buenaventura founded the Central Escolar de Señoritas Conservatory of Music, as well as the Buenaventura Music Academy in 1930. Many of his piano works have become staples in the Philippine repertoire of today's performers, especially Mayon, Larawan, and Malagang Bati. He also ventured into musical direction and scoring for films, as well as composing several zarzuelas and kundiman. Francisco Santiago is known as the father of the kundiman, and belongs to the triumvirate of the Filipino composers along with Nicanor Abelardo and Antonio Molina. Santiago's music was romantic in style, incorporating Western forms and techniques with folk materials. Among his famous works are Pakiusap, Madaling Araw, and Kundiman, Anekdalita. He became the first Filipino director of the Conservatory of Music, UP. Nicanor Abelardo, although a 20th-century modern composer, was also a composer in the Romantic style. His best-known compositions include Mutia ng Pasig, Nazan ka Irog, Cavatina for violoncello, and Magbalik ka Harang. The Tanghalang Nicanor Abelardo, main theater, of the Cultural Center of the Philippines, and the Abelardo Hall of the UP College of Music are named after him. Antonio Molina was a product of both the Romantic and Impressionist music. He was fascinated by the dynamics and harmonies of Debussy, but retained much of Romantic style in his melody. A characteristically Impressionist work is his piano composition Expectation Brief Introduction 3 Malik Mata, Transfiguration. K Abadiab is a contemporary composer and conductor who spans both popular and classical world with his pop music, ballads, operas, zarzuelas, orchestral arrangements, masses, psalms, and choral compositions. Among these are the award-winning K Ganda ng Ating Musika, the modern zarzuela Alikabok, and the opera Spolarium with libretto by Fides Quioganicencio. His compositions are mostly of traditional Western influence. Hilarion Rubio was a composer, music teacher, conductor, and clarinetist. His name was closely identified with his works for the orchestra, as a conductor for opera, ballet, and dance recitals, and his music for movies. Colonel Antonio Buenaventura promoted Philippine music by extensively using folk materials in his works. He recorded folk and dance music around the country with Ramon Tolentino, and national artist for dance Francisco Reyes Aquino. He restored the Philippine Constabulary Band in 1945, which was considered one of the best military bands in the world. He is a national artist for music. Rodolfo Cornejo was the researcher and official composer of the Philippine government in exile, under President Manuel L. Quezon. He served as pianist-director of a USO concert unit that entertained the Allied forces during World War II. He later became the soloist of several orchestras, and eventually the musical director of the Sampaguita and Vera I. Perez movie companies. Felipe P. de Leon Sr. is known as a nationalist composer who expressed the Philippines' cultural identity through his compositions. He wrote piano compositions, hymns, marches, art songs, chamber music, symphonic poems, overtures, band music, school songs, orchestral works, operas, kundiman, and zarzuelas. His two operas, Naling ni Tanher and El Filibusterismo, are considered his masterpieces. He is a national artist for music. Lucio San Pedro is known as a romantic nationalist. He incorporated Philippine folk elements in his compositions with Western forms and harmony. His chords have a rich expressive tonality, as represented in his well-loved lullaby Sa Yugoing Duyen, his orchestral composition Suite Pastorale, a musical description of his hometown Angono, and his nationalistic symphonic poem Lahing Kayamangi. His other compositions include songs, pieces for violin, cello, and chorus, and works for the symphonic band. He is a national artist for music. Rosendo Santos Jr. was a prolific composer whose works include concerti, sonatas, symphonies, symphonic poems, 5 operas in a Philippine dialect, numerous band overtures, and over 200 marches. He also wrote 50 masses in Latin and 20 in English. Alfredo Buenaventura holds the sole distinction among Filipino composers of having composed 5-length operas. His compositions combine contemporary and conventional styles, and contain melodies that are simple and understandable, while using contemporary harmonies that enhance their complexity. As we all know, contemporary music in the Philippines refers to composition that adopted ideas and elements from 20th century art music in the West, as well as the latest trends in musical styles in the entertainment industry. The modern Filipino repertoire consists of musical pieces that have been written in 20th century idioms that have evolved out such stylistic movement as Impressionism, Expressionism, Neoclassicism, as well as avant-garde and new music.